back to Fantasy PD episode 4, season 2, your regular scheduled programming with Nick Clement and Dan Miller. And then we have got a new hunk, first time in the league, first time on the pod.
Honored.
Drafted 2 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends, and is looking damn good in that Ertz jersey. Would you mind introducing yourself, friend of the pod?
I am Matt Nick, Dan Miller's lifelong friend and also adversary. Been in the league. This is my first year. Very excited. A lot of good guys in the league. Very excited to be here on the pod. You know, I've been a fantasy football player for almost 3 years now, I think. I'd say I'm definitely below average in terms of knowledge and acquisitions, and we'll go over that later. Just looking forward to being on the pod and being in the league, you know. Just a football lover, Eagles fan, and just I think an all-around great guy compared to the rest of the league.
Well, we appreciate your energy and what you bring to this league. You have brought nothing but good times, and we are excited to see how your team fares because it is on the up and up from where everybody thought it would be from the start of the season. So you've proved those haters wrong. The record doesn't show it. The Ass Man table does. Nick, Dan, good to see you as always. How are we doing?
Good to be here. Dan looks, as Matt would say, like an Amish person with these beautiful turtle beaches hung around the back of his head so that he can keep that big old cowboy hat on. But
new look, hoping I sound a little.
While we are using computers and he is using a Turtle Beach headphones, so a lot of technology the Amish have come into. But Dan, Amish man, what's up?
Yeah, I'm getting back to my roots. Turtle Beaches, back in the COD days. I'm comfortable in them.
That's it? That's all you got for this viewership? I'm severely disappointed in you right now.
Okay. If I start talking too much, Chris will turn it off.
All right.
I'll save it for later.
We might be in a new Dan Miller era. So welcome. We're excited to review last week. Any big takeaways from last week? Anything that people would like to share with our viewership before we get started with episode 4?
I want to say one thing. Tight ends are a scam. Taking any of them is a risk that I will no longer be taking. Dalton Schultz has a sprained MCL, which I think is a made-up muscle, and Kyle Pitts
or ligament.
Irrelevant. And Kyle Pitts is on Berg's team, now, and put up a whopping 1.8, I believe. So the tight end roulette is no longer my forte.
Isn't that? Oh, but you're literally in the tight end roulette because. You don't.
You know what? The tight end drafting. Oh, I have a good one now. I have a set and start tight end in Evan Ingram, leading the Jags in targets. Fun fact, little stat there for the boys. So I think he's set and forget it right now.
All right. Well,
I don't know
before this man gets a little carried away, we're gonna have to move along, or else we're gonna get the Dan Miller rule from everybody else. But Dan, were you gonna say something that was gonna add just too much value that we couldn't miss it?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to want to miss this. I think starting any Jaguars player is almost as bad as starting any Bears wide receiver. And any player in this league doing that, not the best look.
You're talking to the guy with Christian Kirk who put up almost 23 points.
I know, I was just going to say.
And James Robinson who put up 16, who's on Toy's team. So.
Bro, didn't your amazing quarterback break his leg yesterday?
All right. Before we get onto that topic, let's go ahead and get started here with episode 4 and dive into the content. So we've got our pick'em from last week. Dan, continuing on a heater, cooled off a little bit from last week, went 4-2 to move his record to 9-3 on the year, 41-30 overall, taking over Nick in our number 1 pick'em ranking. I think you might have done that last week based off of what we have. But you only got Shaw versus Chris wrong and Berg versus the Herbinator. So, Dan, what would you like to say for yourself?
I think my record speaks for itself.
I am thoroughly embarrassed on picking you, Pete. I told you beforehand. I stuck with it once the pod actually happened. But if you go back and watch the tape, I was very scared to keep taking you.
You have one person to blame.
Myself, yeah. I shouldn't have taken you.
You shouldn't have picked against me too.
Well, that one was lucky.
I think that one was all skill. Matt, we're excited to have your first picks today. We'll get there in a second. But before we do so, since you are actually first time on the pod here, we're gonna have you walk through your power rankings first, how you ranked them, who you had. Nick and Dan had the same exact rankings this week. I think that's a first for our podcast. So, Matt, take it away.
All right. Let me pull up some stats on the fantasy website right now so I can talk like I am educated here.
FantasyWebsite.com coming at you.
On God.
Not an official sponsor of the pod yet, but could be.
So, who did I rank first? Let me take a look.
Jake.
Well, it's sorted in the wrong order. It's sorted by.
I understand. It's because if I had to sort the columns, it'll get all messed up right now.
All right, let me just look.
You have Jake number 1.
So Jake McManus's team is obviously on a heater. The man's got the most points for, and regardless of points against or luckiness, if you're scoring the most points, you know your team's solid. I think he's a clear number 1 in the league right now. As much as I hate to say it, he's making moves on the waiver wire. He's engaged. I think right now he's number 1. Number 2, I picked.
You have
Matt Herbert. Once again, you're scoring a lot of points. I don't think his team's as solid as Jake's, but once again, I mean, what do you need other than scoring points? He's been making some moves on the waiver wire as well. Engaged in the league. Who else do I have? Nick, I think your team's really good. You put up a great showing last week. I think you got a good squad. Grant, I'd love to have Christian Kirk on my team, and I'd love for you to have Jamal Williams or whatever his name is. But that never happened. Cole, his team looked really good. He was a favorite at the beginning of the season, but he cooled off a little bit in week 2, I believe. He only managed to score about 107 or 83, I believe, in week 2. So he's kind of
waiver wire running backs moving forward potentially for Cole.
Exactly. So I think his team is on the downfall. I don't know what he was ranked. I think week 1 he was number 1. Toy, good squad. I think he'll be putting up some numbers. I see him finishing maybe first round of playoffs out. I'm gonna put my. What's so funny about that?
Nothing. Good take.
I really like your analysis on each team. It's good numbers, engaged in the league.
That's what it takes. Okay, well, we'll see why the people in last are in last.
Anyway,
Anyway.
if you want to start with me, go to me.
Pete, who said I put you last?
You had it right here, 12. I have myself 12. These other 2 clowns.
Except the list. All right, before we get stuck on a tangent, I put myself at 6. I know people are saying that's hot. That's a stretch. But look I have 206 points. That's more than Dan. That's more than Shaw. That's more than Berg. That's more than half the league. I'm making moves. I'm engaged. And I've also had the most points scored of anybody that isn't Milk and an idiot. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on the pod. Sorry, Milk. So
he
I'm
doesn't listen anyway.
He doesn't listen.
Exactly.
Remember to hit the like button.
So I think Berg is a solid 7. Granted, and I think that's the same ranking he has last week, that he does not trade his players away. He's got to stop doing that.
His trade last week might have been a league winner.
Okay, not the one for Kyle Pitts.
I was
that
just gonna
man
say,
stinks.
Maybe you should not fleece him anymore. Otherwise, he won't give you all of his players, Matt.
Honestly, Michael Thomas, love you. Chris, I think we're getting into the bottom of the barrel here with people with upsettingly bad teams. Derrick Henry, not that great this year. Javonte Williams, he's doing all right. Juju Poop Smooster is. I don't even know what I just said.
Keep it moving. We're in.
Buddy, come on.
Okay. All right. Chris' team kind of stinks on the down. He's starting Miles Sanders. You never want to start an Eagles running back. After that, Dan, I think your team stinks. I think you stink, and I think your team stinks. Your pickup this week stunk as well. I hope you lose the league. That's my personal opinion. After that, Shaw, another guy whose team stinks. I'm going to beat him this year. His team name is World of Hurts, and he doesn't even have him. He's got Joe Burrow's bum. Next after that, Milk. A man so unengaged with the league, the only person to make less moves than him is Pete. So that's why he gets to be 11. He's more engaged in the league than Pete, except for the fact that Pete makes his podcast, but does not win him the league doing this. And then lastly, Pete, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm looking at your team, and it hurts. It hurts to look at. DK Metcalf and Geno Smith are beefing. You're starting Dameon Pierce. Dalvin Cook looks an old man in a wheelchair. Darnell Mooney hasn't put up more than 2 points. And you're starting a Jets running back. I don't know what to tell you. That's the rankings.
All right. I think we are all either way smarter or way stupider for everything we have just heard. For sake of
Is that
time.
the guy in last place?
No, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about everything that just happened. I don't know how to feel about what just happened, but I know that you love the word engaged and unengaged as opposed to disengaged, which we might be able to add to your dictionary moving forward. So, Nick and Dan, where we usually reserve a lot of time to go through this, I think our time clock is running out on our power rankings. Feel free to roast me before we move on. Whatever you want to get off your chest on your power rankings, and we'll move on.
Yeah, Pete in the group chat, for those that aren't in the me, Pete, and Nick group chat, was strutting on Sunday night. Oh, look, I got a big old fat win. He did not account for Dalvin Cook and who else did you have on Monday night?
May I just ask when did I say that?
He was just strutting. You should have seen him.
Is that
He did not
including
account
the,
for.
is that including the
He did not
text I
account
sent
for
Nick that-
Mooney and Dalvin Cook to combine for 6. So down the toilet, Pete goes, and he's never felt lower.
Hey, I will say I never strutted on that, and your story makes no sense because Mooney was already out after Sunday night.
Okay,
when I would've been
Sunday
strutting.
evening. When I was with him at Berg's house, he was strutting.
All right, Nick, carry on.
Yeah, energy is very high on this podcast, so I appreciate it, Matt. I'd say engagement levels are high. I actually, me and Dan's rankings are a little bit different. I've got Matt Herbert ranked number 2 because his team is so
missed that.
stacked and doesn't even have Pittman in his lineup. But I'll just say that my rankings, I think there's it's 3 tiers. I think there's the championship contenders, the playoff contenders, and the toilet bowl contenders right now. I think the break right now is the top 3. I think it's Cole, I think it's Jake, and I think it's Matt. I think the toilet bowl is Shaw, and it's Peter, and it's Milk, and then everyone else is fighting for those playoff spots right now. Things can change, but those are the tiers I see currently.
I think I agree. It was really easy to pick the top 3 and the bottom 3, and then it was the middle that kind of I struggled with.
What do you guys think is the likeliest to pick up that 4th toilet bowl slot?
Hey, all I'm saying, last year's power rankings, 1 and 4, the 10th spot across the board.
I love how
Rose
you
to
have
the
this
top.
handy.
I thought the toughest spot to rank was Berg versus Chris, in my opinion. Those guys are kind of similar. Chris is lower for me because Derrick Henry stinks. So I'm going to need to see a little something out of Chris's team if he's going to be like that the rest of the season. But if I got to plant my flag on someone making the toilet bowl with the bottom 3, I'll go with Chris, because his inability to perform a trade without getting up in
I
arms
agree.
about someone.
I think Chris will find his way into the toilet bowl as well, just because of his aversion to trading.
I love that when you have a chance to just take a dig at Chris, you take it down just to throw on the top.
He was mean to me in the group me today.
Yeah, I know. Well, we feel so bad. So here we are. Let's go to the people last week were 4 and 2. They got Dan wrong. The people's champion chose against the person, and they got Nick wrong. So Nick, congratulations. Dan, congratulations. So let's move along to matchup previews.
Fist bump for Dan there. Prove the people wrong. Those guys are idiots.
Bunch of
All right, let's
dummies.
start with Harlan's Hogs versus I Like It Raw.
2 best names in the league.
I think those 2 go really hand in hand, to be honest.
Good one, Pete.
All right, so I'm going to start somewhere else than Matt and Nick, because this could then take 10 minutes. But Matt, I do want to hear some comments from you. I don't need the everything about each of the people. But Nick, we'll start with you. What do you like in this matchup? What do you not like?
I do like Jake. I'm gonna keep riding Jake until until he runs out. I do think Henderson isn't that guy that maybe we thought he was. They're going to continue to split carries. So That flex could be interesting because I think his other options are like Thielen, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
he's got Thielen. I'm trying to get off the blurred one and then I clicked it again. So 1 second.
No worries. Yeah, Thielen stinks. If you watch that game, he had like no catches until the fourth quarter in that blowout, and they were throwing it the whole game. So I would not feel comfortable about that flex. I can't remember if he's got anybody else.
He's got Olave, Chase Edmonds.
Edmonds. Oh, he does have Olave. I'm surprised he
Edmonds,
doesn't put
yeah.
Olave in there. If I was running his team, and I think he is a listener of the pod, he might put him in over Henderson. But yeah, I like him to beat Berg this week. I think a lot of players on Berg's team have been overperforming, aka Jalen Waddle, and they've got a tough matchup with Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree, Nick. I think AJ Dillon's going to have a tough go against the Tampa Bay defense. And if Keenan Allen is or isn't able to play with no Mike Evans as well, I do think Jake is going to win this and keep the winning streak alive.
Which means
All right,
Berg
Matt.
falls to 1 and 2.
Matt, what do you got?
I like Jake in this one. I think he's got a much more well-rounded team. He's got the Sun God. I'm curious to see if Julio Jones makes a start in his team soon. They've been talking about him looking good in practice at the Buccaneers. So I mean, Green Bay, I don't know how their secondary is, but they said Julio looked good. On Berg's team, obviously, I don't like Kyle Pitts. I got rid of him. Did you guys see the quote where they said, "We're trying to win football. This isn't fantasy." Not the coach said that. I mean, getting the ball to your best player usually seems like a recipe for winning. I think the Washington running backs are going to slow down, especially against the Philly D. I don't like that matchup. And Matt Stafford's been up and down this year, so I really like Jake in this one. I think it's going to be a lock for him.
Yeah, I got Jake as well in this. The storyline I'm interested to see is, does McCaffrey get rolling at some point and become a McCaffrey of old? And then what does Nick Chubb do on a Thursday night game? Because running backs are always a little hit or miss on Thursday nights, usually a little more miss. So I think we got an even sweep. I will take note of who you picked, Matthew Nicholas.
Okay.
Where is this one? Who was that? Jake?
It's a second. Yep, it's a second one. Amon-Ra might be the pick of the draft.
Yeah, he very well could be.
Garrett Wilson too.
All right, let's carry on. So that brings us over to the Milkman versus Cole. Nick.
I'll lead us off again here. I think we're going to probably have another unanimous choice. I'll take Cole. My comments on Cole. His running backs is going to be an issue all season. Like he got Cordell Patterson all by himself. Week 1, he balled out. Connor is finally showing a little bit of injuries like he did every single year except for last year. So I think that's going to be a turnstile of position. Can his wide receivers and quarterback fill that gap? We'll have to see. So I think his team is more than capable to beat Milk's sorry ass team. So I will go with Cole.
Yeah, I'm picking Cole here as well. I think I'm not going to say anything that hasn't already been said. I think the only bright spot of Milk's team is Devontae. Zeke is a shell of a man, and Najee's been a little banged up, and I think Pittsburgh's going to struggle as a whole.
Matt Nix, keys to the game.
I'm predicting Cole in this one, although I do think Milk has some hope with Tyler Higbee at tight end. He finally, I believe, might be getting rid of Cole Kmet, who's seen 2 targets over 2 weeks. Milk's team, though, for the rest of it is pretty average. Whereas and I think Cole's team is looking pretty good. Grant, Connor stays healthy. He doesn't really have a backup running back that's serviceable in his lineup, though, so that could be a concern for him. But I think this week James Conner's healthy, can play. I think he's winning.
Okay, I've got Cole as well. A lot of the reasons stated above. I could see Milk getting sneaky here and winning if Najee has a big night, but I got
one thing I didn't notice is that Cole's been heavy on the Falcons in his teams, so kind of interesting to be heavy on the worst team in the league.
All right, we got an even sweep on Cole.
I did call that out in the waiver wire show. If anyone was able to tune in, that he is going hard for that backfield and he wants it locked down for the season.
I was actually trying to drive and watch at the same time, so that was a little dangerous.
Glad you still
I think
tuned in though.
the waiver show was pretty good. Nick, good job today.
Hey, yes, Nick, shout out to you. Just remember to hit that like button when you tune in to just a beautiful picturesque painting Picasso of a waiver wire like Nick did, as well as this beautiful fantasy pod that we have. Such a hunk on our blessing us with his presence today is that Zach Ertz. Oh, wait, no, that's Matt Nick. So let's go over to King Henry versus Just Here to Beat Dan. Toy. Nick, take us away.
Yeah, I will evaluate this team, but I do need to take a little bit of a pause because it has dawned on me that we have the 4 gentlemen distinguished from Team Miller and the defeat of Team Bird in the room again. And we just need to appreciate that. Dan, do you want to go play by play again, how it went for Berg or Chris, or I might not remember it, but I think that would be a lot of value for this podcast.
Who has a more serious injury, Dalton Schultz or Alex Shaw?
Oh my God, that was amazing. Yeah, if there was a fantasy team to be put together, it would be me at quarterback, at wide receiver 1, Nick at wide receiver 1, Matt Nick at big old tight end.
That is not what I call tight end roulette.
No, that's
Nick,
a plug and
I
play
was
all
watching-
season.
I was watching the Lions the other day, and honestly, your route running kind of reminded me of Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God.
Wow.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah,
Who's route running?
Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God.
Yeah, who reminded you of him? Nick?
Nick did.
I love that.
yeah.
Is that when he burned Berg?
Oh, on God.
Berg.
Free Rhabdo Berg?
Oh man, that was the play of the year.
Oh, all right.
All right, back to it.
If we still got Berg and Chris here, let's evaluate Chris's matchup here.
Come
because
on,
I think,
guys.
oh, come on. I don't know. This is a tough one. Like I said, I think these teams here in the middle are very close. I like the name that Matt has coined for Juju, but I might change it to Poo Poo Smith Poopster. But I don't know. I'm having a very tough time picking this one. I think Chris's luck is going to run out. I picked him last week. He gave me that big old because he beat Shaw, gave me that big old dub. But I think I'm going to take Alex this week, and I think Alex moves to 2-1.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty big toss-up of a matchup. Interesting to see George Kittle making his way onto Toy's team. I haven't seen any of the highlights on him throughout the week, if he's actually going to play or if this is just being teased.
Thank you for being prepped for the podcast to discuss that.
Anytime.
He returned to practice today.
Thanks, Matt.
Good to
That's
hear.
a stat rat.
Man
Thanks,
the chair.
So I'm gonna do one of my conditional picks, and I picked Toy as long as Kittle plays. I think Toy's tight end acquisitions have been a wasteland, and it's been his biggest question mark. And if Kittle can come out there, and now that we have big old porn star Jimmy G out there, I think him and Kittle are going to connect for some points.
I'm gonna go with Chris in this one. I think Derrick Henry's playing a weak defense this week. I think he returns to his old form and puts up, I'm gonna guess 2 touchdowns against Las Vegas.
Whoa.
Carson Wentz is out for revenge. He's been hucking that football. I hope he doesn't win, but I think he's gonna get some yards. And Curtis Samuel seems to be the real deal. In this game, I'm gonna pick Chris. I think George Kittle's probably gonna bruise his shin tomorrow and will be out for a month. So I like Chris in this one.
I'm going to take Chris as well. I like this week. I like the Wentz Samuel stack against Philly, and Wentz is out for blood in the revenge game, and Derrick Henry, and they're going to have to score points to keep up with him. I think Jamar Chase is going to go nutty against the Jets, unless that Saucy Gardner does lock him down. Like, hey, probably will. So I'm going to go with Chris here. Chris moves to 3-0 Remember, Chris did start the year last year 6-0 before Henry got hurt, and then went into utter free fall where he just rode Debo into the ground.
Yeah, a quick stat for you guys. We are through 2 weeks in if you do make it to the championship, 16-week season, and Chris has spent 55% of his fab. So he's gonna really have to budget that final 45 to make him through the rest of the league.
He'll just trade Berg a bench player for 40.
Smart.
Matt Nick's second on the fab spending, I think.
Oh, I'm a
Matt
big
Nick
spender, buddy.
He had 100 fab going into today.
Yeah, he spent a
Oh,
lot
because
of
he
it.
made the fab trade. That's right.
Yeah.
He spent
Gotcha.
a lot of it though.
Yeah. Hey, Jacoby Myers, speaking of which, we have World of Hurts versus Watson Massage Parlor. If you want to just, give us why you maybe gave that name. I'm not quite sure of the reference, but Nick, take it away.
All right, I'll lead us off and let Matt be the cleanup or the after we make our decisions. I am very high on Matt's team. I think his team, while 0-2, has more promise than a lot of 1-1 teams. He had Kamara out. He still has just tons of players that boom. Like that coming out of last year. I hated not having boom players, and he's got tons of them. Jalen Hurts is awesome at quarterback for fantasy football. Kamara, if he plays, is just gets loads of catches. And Montgomery is the actually, I'll just talk about Diggs. What did he put up this week? It was like
40
the
almost.
it was like the most fantasy points and a wide receiver's put up in a long time. So I've got Matt Nick, and I don't think it's actually that close.
I'm going to interject with an interesting stat here. Amonra with his week this week, when they do perfect, I didn't see it for half PPR, but in full PPR leagues, he was not a part of the perfect fantasy league, and he still put up like 35 points. It was Diggs, Tyreek, and I believe Waddle.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's insane.
Amonra's week.
That is nuts.
It would have been over with that perfect this week. It would have been over 300 points in a full PPR league.
Damn.
Over to you, Dan.
Yeah, I do like Matt Nick here as well. I think it's going to be an interesting game to watch for both parties, the Buffalo game, because as we're inching closer to the end zone, is it going to go to Davis? Is it going to go to Diggs? And I think that that matchup in the hot Miami sun, I think it's going to be a battle of attrition. And I think Diggs is more cut out for that. So I think Stephon Diggs is going to outscore Gabriel Davis, which is going to be the nail in Shaw's grave. And he's got Joe Burrow, Mixon, Stack. I think the Jets are better than people are giving them credit for. And
Really?
I do. Yeah. And they have been very good against the run this season. So keep an eye out for that.
Nick Chubb.
Matt Nicholas, keys to the
All
game.
right. I think obviously I got that dog, Jalen Hurts. The man can squat a literal grizzly bear. He's putting up 28 points a game. There's not much you can do about that. I like my team this week. I think I got a lot of good matchups, and the addition of Evan Ingram, the most targeted man on Jacksonville, and in addition, Jacoby Myers, the most targeted man in New England. Granted, he's only made the end zone in the NFL 2 more times than I have over 3 years, which is not very impressive. But he's getting those targets. And I think the players in my bench are going to settle into their squads. I think I have a good team for the rest of the year. Shaw's team, while serviceable, I think a lot of those people would make it to my bench, unfortunately. He's averaging some pretty low scores on DJ Moore, Jeff Wilson Jr., and CeeDee Lamb. So I think I'm going to beat Shaw this week. I think the stats speak for themselves. I'm averaging 128 points for the people in, and Shaw's averaging 101. So it's I think I got this on lock.
Yeah.
And if I don't got myself, who does?
Hey, amen, brother. I got Matt in this one. I'm very curious what Shaw does at running back too. I think that he has lost sleep every night over what he's going to do at running back 2 for the last week, and he will continue to lose sleep for the next 3 weeks until he gets something. Because I like Tony Pollard versus the Giants this week. I mean that you could justify starting him over Jeff Wilson, where Debo's going to get half the carry. So, anyways, I like Matt Nick this week. Full clean sweep on Matt Nick, and we will pencil it in.
Yeah, it has not helped Shaw that the Bengals have looked terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
what do we
think that's
think's
gonna be
going on
there's
there?
gonna be a lot of points in that game. So like
They-
those two could single-handedly carry him to victory, but I don't think it's enough to overcome what I mean, Montgomery versus Houston is an awesome matchup.
The Bengals paid a lot of money to fix their offensive line, and it did not work. They
Yeah,
are just
it looks worse.
It's hard to watch.
All right. What I actually would coin the matchup of the week. I think this is the best matchup. I think that Dan obviously wants the light shed on him and I, but why would you care about an 0-2 and a 1-1 team when there is a 2-0 and 1-1 team who have looked studly throughout the year? So Nick, as Ayahuasca, I hardly know her. Hey, and that celebration they did this weekend
For my team.
I even called it out to Berg. I said, "Hey, Berg, I think they're doing the ayahuasca celebration," and that's what they did.
Yeah.
So Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, they were celebrating my big win last week. They heard that a TikTok dance was on the line. They wanted to ball out for me, so the Packers helped me out a little bit there. So, yeah, I don't know. I like my team a lot. I think I'm the most complete team in the league. Up and down. I might not have the star power as some other teams, but I do have the most filled out roster in my opinion. So I actually, so I told the guys earlier, I don't like my matchups. I think this could be a scheduled loss, as they like to say, where Matt's team is just awesome. He's got Michael Pittman. I am going to I have to make sure that Michael Pittman is out against Kansas City. Whatever. I'll just take myself because, again, like Matt said, if you don't believe in yourself, who will? So I'll go against the grain here, I think, and I'll take myself.
So I'm gonna pick against you, Nick. Actually, I think that Cooper Kupp is gonna have a good game against Arizona. I think that's gonna be a high flying game. I am, from what I've seen, it sounds like Pittman's gonna play. Pittman's an absolute dog. And Justin Herbert, even though he hurt his back, I think
Ribs.
or maybe broken ribs. Yeah.
Once again,
It looks like he's going to play as well. So I've got Ebert in this one.
Yeah.
I
Unfortunately,
think it's going to be close though.
Can someone explain to me what ayahuasca means? Because I don't really know.
Ayahuasca is the medicine that Aaron Rodgers took while he was down in Machu Picchu.
It's
Oh.
a plant.
Hallucinogenic.
It's a plant.
Okay. I thought this was something different when you said about a dance. All right. Anyway, I agree with Dan on this one. I think this is Matt Herbert's week. As much as I think it's more of a toss up, but I think it might be Matt Herbert's week. You never know. Lamar could go off for 40 and DeAndre Swift could go off for 30 and it's anyone's game, but I think the matchups are favoring Matt Herbert this week. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm sorry to say it, is such a nice guy.
Aw.
I'll ride with Nick in this one. I think it's going to be close. And especially, is Keenan Allen out?
He
Do we
is
know?
questionable.
Questionable. You benefit from Keenan Allen being out, and if Gabe Davis is out, because then Dawson Knox gets the red zone targets over Gabe Davis. Then and Judy might be out, which is big for Cortland Sutton, and they're looking to get a win. So I like Nick this week. I think Swift's going to go nutty in Minnesota, indoors.
Let's
So
hope
I'm
he
going
doesn't
to
get
take
hurt.
Nick. What was that?
Yeah.
Let's hope he doesn't get hurt. I mean, because the guy who has his backup would be in it for a great week.
Yeah.
I offered you a trade and you said that sounds good. And then we never got face to face on it. We'll talk after.
So you got Ebert and we've got Nick, and then you have.
I think this matchup, I think I could score 120 and still lose.
I agree. Ooh, going with Giants D against Dallas. Interesting pick.
Not much faith. Cooper Rush.
All right. And the final matchup of the week. Nick, take it away.
Sure. We got the People's Champion versus a team that's 0-2 that should probably not be using that name any longer. If you're gonna keep putting up duds like this, I don't think you get to don the Will Zalatoris name. But wow, you still have Mooney in your lineup. Good for you, Pete. Good for you. That being said, I'm taking Dan. I think Pete wants to ride with his guys one more time, which is fine. I mean, if he's got the conviction that his positional players are the truth and it's just been a touchdown variance thing, go for it. But I think the same could be said about Dan's team. I don't think Dan's had many touchdowns this season yet. But if his team starts to get cooking, watch out. So yeah, I'll take Dan.
So I know a lot of people expect me to absolutely bury Pete here, but I think this matchup is going to be a little bit closer than people think. I think it's probably, an 80 to 85% chance that I win this, but that's still 1 out of 10, 3 out of 20 times that Pete does win this. It's definitely not out of the question, but I think I'm the strong favorite. I think DK Metcalf and Darnell Mooney are just dog shit. I think Michael Carter, might be where we see the Breece Hall, a little bit of a takeover. Damian Pierce against Chicago, that's anybody's game. I think my guys just
Mhm.
you know what? This is what I get for being a nice guy. I don't come in here and shit on Pete's team and I get muted. You know what? That's fine. Paint me out as the villain. Pete, your team is dog shit. DK Metcalf is terrible.
I let you
Darnell
shit on my
Mooney's
team. It was
awful.
when you
They
started
combined
talking
for
about
6
your team.
points. Michael Carter's going to be absolutely shitty. Kyler's underperformed. Looks like a kid out there running. Dalvin Cook's in a fucking wheelchair. Your team is absolutely terrible.
I let you shit on my team. Then you started talking about yours. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that my team, like yours, has not scored many touchdowns. Fact. Jesus Christ.
All right, Matt Nick.
Unfortunately, and it pains me to say this, I agree with Dan Miller. Pete, your team stinks. DK Metcalf has no chemistry with this quarterback. Dalvin Cook is going to die soon. And Darnell Mooney's irrelevant. I don't know what to tell you. And on your bench is much better. You got Chris Godwin. He's always injured. And you got 2 running backs who might be lucky to log 3 carries a week. So I don't know what you're going to do to switch it up. I'm sorry to say, Pete. You got to do some work. And on Dan's team, there's a couple people I like. Please don't exit this yet.
I thought you were going to make your pick.
Kareem Hunt is good. I'm sorry, not Kareem Hunt. Jonathan Taylor, he's going to go off eventually. Tyreek Hill's a bomb, and AJ Brown's a dog. So I gotta respect Dan's team except for one position. So.
Which is?
What is it?
Quarterback. Anyway, I'm picking Dan, Peter. Chalk me up for that
that's
one.
fair. I got myself.
Any elaboration on that, or is that
Yeah.
Nope. Team will do the
If
job.
I don't got me, who does? That's the elaboration.
I don't think anyone's
Exactly.
got you, buddy.
All
You
right,
could show
we'll
your
look
mother
at
this lineup and she'd pick me.
All right.
Is that-
Also, just I don't know how long these things last. If you have the free version of Zoom, we can only do 45 minutes, or we have the full version, we can do unlimited.
I have the full version, but I might need to tell you I have the free version so that we watch those rants that we got in those power rankings.
I just this week the Matnick move and miss of the week will be presented outside of the short media format of TikTok on this podcast.
Wow.
Ooh. All right. I am very much looking forward to it.
When
So-
you're done with whatever this PowerPoint is, let me know and I'll share my
The
screen.
people went 4-2, and this week they picked Matt Nick over Shaw. They picked Jake over Berg. They picked Ebert over Nick, Dan over myself, Toy over Chris, and Cole over Milk. So if we go over to that, 85% Jake.
Berg voted for himself.
And 71% on Toy. Wow.
Wow.
Can I propose a league rule change? If you don't vote in the poll every week, you get deducted a fab, one fab buck.
You could put it to a
Milk would
vote.
be-
Milk doesn't know how Fab works, so that's okay. And he also has the only one, I think, back-to-back weeks, 100% against Milk. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, I
Something
think so.
close. Matt Ebert, 57% over Nick. That's like I said, matchup of the week. Dan, 71%. So
Peter and you. Wait, Peter voted for you. And
Probably Shaw.
Probably
He hates
Chris.
me.
probably Chris.
Chris.
maybe
Chris loves.
Chris.
All right.
Chris-
How many points will the Jets lose by? Versus Bengals, 7, 4, 12, 14, 10. Going to win again and 6.
I wonder who put win again.
Wasn't me.
Probably Berg. All right, other predictions. Eagles record 17-0. Eagles lose to the Commanders. Dan ruined the podcast for me again by talking about himself and his triumphant victory. Hello, Chris. Peter begs every team to give him a good player. Hey, you got to start somewhere.
I didn't fill this form out, but I did have a comment that the prediction that my wide receivers would score 16 was incorrect. I think they meant to say it for you, Peter. That would have been correct. And then I have a prediction for the rest of the season that you will not pronounce my last name correct one time for the rest of the season.
Oh, I won't. Clement.
There it is. You said it, you
Clement.
said it wrong again.
Nick Clement.
Sorry. There it
It's
is.
like Clement sausage.
It's
Clement.
not
No,
like-
it is Clement sausage.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, Nick, hit and miss of the week. I know you've got some graphics that you've been in the lab working on, so please share those with our viewers, and we'll get this podcast wrapped up.
Let me share my screen.
Just
here.
remember to subscribe and hit that like button if you're watching. Still, for some reason.
All right. So for this week, the Matt Nick move of the week presented by, and we got the fantasy gods looking on, is going to be not an exciting move, but I think Tua is looking good. I think he this year is going to shut up the haters that he is a legitimate quarterback because he's got threats. That is the Matt Nick move of the week this week. Check me. We'll see how Tua does.
Who are the two guys in the middle?
LaDainian Tomlinson and Randy Moss.
Randy Moss, two of the best fantasy
Oh.
players of all time. Bro. And Matt Nick miss of the week. We got Dan picking up Kirk Cousins. He stinks. He shriveled up on Monday Night Football like a slug covered in salt, like a priest penis look at a kid who went past puberty. All right. Milk.
Okay, who are these people?
You don't know these people?
Darnell
Oh.
Mooney, Josh Gordon, Kyle Pitts, and Cam Akers. Buddy, do you watch football?
I thought that was Tyler, the creator.
Dan met Snoop.
So,
That is true.
so yeah, that's the miss of the week. Milk, you gotta do something, buddy. You gotta do anything.
Save your voice. He's never going to listen.
Someone's gotta tell him. Somebody. All right. That's
Oh.
all
And
I
Nick,
got.
you got anything else for these viewers?
I'm predicting third place finish for myself.
Okay.
I love that.
Love how you shoot for the stars there, buddy.
In the regular season, or you're going to lose the semifinal match?
I haven't gotten that far in my wild predictions.
So that's regular season, third place.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I have another prediction as well.
Okay.
Pete, you're running that beer mile.
Oh, baby.
Or
And
whatever
if
the
I
fun
and
is.
if I don't, what do you want to do on record here?
Nothing, because my team's better than yours.
Okay, fair enough.
What is-
Well, one last thought I want to discuss that I thought the pod would appreciate would be me and Shaw's perspective and now current bet on our game this week.
Ooh.
I don't know if anyone else has elaborated on their bets. Me and Shaw went on some things. One was I suggested the loser writes an autobiography about the other, or a biography, excuse me, about the other. Shaw said he will not do anything involving reading and or writing. So that was nixed. We also nixed the Hooked on Phonics book because, once again, reading and writing. We also looked at eating every item on the Taco Bell menu once that week. That
would be
kibosh.
not a punishment for
Yeah,
you.
you would love that.
Buddy, not when I got fat again. And lastly, we settled on the loser has to crochet or knit the winner a scarf. So that'll be interesting. But he cannot get his GF to do it, and I cannot get my mother or girlfriend to do it. So that's all I got this week.
And when can we expect the TikTok dance to drop?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
I've been shaking my tail feathers.
Oh my god!
All I'm
I
saying
wanna see
is
that.
we got to make sure a few debts are paid. So I have to write the 3-page biography about Toy. We have Milk doing the Milk Gallon Challenge, which I don't think has happened. And then and then I don't know how many miles into the run Shaw is at the moment, but
One branch.
one branch.
Branch.
One branch. Well, Dan, take it away.
Oh, you want me to say our bet?
Yes.
So we are also going to do the TikTok dance bet. Loser will be doing a TikTok dance for the league, and I'm taking open submissions for what Pete should do.
I think a good one would be the one where you walk it like a dog. Except it's Pete doing the dog portion and Emily doing the other one. I don't know if we can if that can be organized or orchestrated, but
We can make it happen.
All right, let's see what we got to do.
We didn't mention the winner of Matt and Berg's bet. If you remember, clean the kitchen.
Ooh, Berg has to
So,
clean the kitchen.
yeah, Berg, get on it.
Yeah.
what was that bet?
And Berg had to clean the kitchen of their apartment.
Bro. God, I'd be like, bet you have to make me dinner every week. Easy.
All right. Well, another episode comes to a close. It's been lovely spending this 45 minutes with you, Matt, Nick. It was a pleasure. We hope to have you on yet again. Friend of the
nothing
pod,
going on. Let me know.
potential sponsor of the pod. Maybe we can make it a regular thing. We're gonna have to clean up the way that we do talk about power rankings. As much as I loved it, we're gonna give you a pass this one time, but we're gonna have to get to the lab and work on it a little bit, make it a little more punctual, make it a little bit more. You only use the word engaged 3 times throughout the entire power rankings.
Everyone thinks the pod is so easy to host. Everyone, Berg, likes to call us out. You should do this different. You should do this different. It looks easy.
Hey, well, he should do
you get out
SoulCycle
here,
different.
and it's a little tougher.
Yeah. When you put your nose to the grindstone and actually produce the content. Oh, I want the PowerPoint full screen. Sorry, Berg. You're not getting that. Don't watch it on your phone.
Now, we could utilize OBS Studio to get some better control over the graphics and things. Just a suggestion.
If you want to take over controller, I would be more than happy to have you do that. However, it's very easy to give ideas. Now, executing on them is something that's very different.
I have a job. I understand.
So is that a yes?
No, I don't want to do that. That sounds like a
Okay.
horrible job.
Yeah, good suggestion.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You see what I go through every week?
Pete, you're not doing it for nothing. You know, we support you and pay you in respect for this.
Let's go, Pete.
Hey, I bid you adieu. Well, gentlemen, signing off. See you all. Maybe Milk will hit the waivers in a couple hours when this drops on Thursday.